is New York Fashion Week time, and Coach just had their Fall/Winter 2025 runway show. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about all the handbags that were there, as well as bag charms, other accessories, my thoughts on the collection, as well as the inspiration for the collection that the designer talks about. I'll also tell you about the Buy It Now bags. Those are the runway bags that were available after the show. And I'll tell you how to get one of them for $200 less than Coach has it listed on their website. And yes, it is still authentic Coach. Lots to talk about today. Stay tuned. And welcome, I'm Autumn Beckman, and I'm here to help you live your most luxurious life within your budget. I post new videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of those, and so you don't miss my daily community posts where I share the best sales of the day and fabulous handbags that I find. Also, don't miss my website. The shop page is where you'll find handbags and accessories that I have for sale. I just reduced prices on most of the ones that are listed there. So if you've had your eye on something, but it was a little more than you really wanted to spend on it, it might be in your budget now, so go check that out. And that's where you'll also find the My Handbag Collection Organizer. These are planner pages that I've designed to help you organize and curate a collection of your handbags and your life. For example, the item tracker pages are where you can record everything about your handbags and small goods. There are also wish list pages, pages to track how you use the items in your collection. Plus, I have a variety of calendar pages and different layouts, to-do lists, project planning pages, habit trackers, and a lot more. I know some people are already feeling a little bit frustrated because in the spring 2025 Coach Runway show, they introduced all those beautiful oversized kiss lock bags, and people have been waiting impatiently for them. And they're still not out yet. I've heard they're supposed to come out in March, so we're getting there. While we're waiting on those, they've already done their fall runway show. The show this year was set in the Park Avenue Armory. I remember walking by there when I used to live in New York. And if you're not aware, you can watch the show on Coach's social media platforms. I watched it on YouTube. They also have it on Instagram and whatever other socials they have. And they do advertise it beforehand, so if you are looking to watch them live and you want to know when they are, follow them on Instagram and they let you know a few days ahead when it's going to happen. Be prepared. This show and the previous one both started about 30 minutes after they said it was going to start, which for us viewers, and especially if you are working and you're taking maybe a little break from work to watch the show, it's kind of annoying that they don't start on time. They had wood plank floors, low lighting, and the walls looked like they were old brick with these big windows, but if you look closely, they are actually curtains made to look like the brick, and then they have lights shining on the windows so it looks like there's light coming through the windows. There were 6 bags on the runway. I don't mean to start this video off complaining about everything, but I do have a few complaints, and I'm sure some of you who have seen the show would feel the same way. One of my complaints about the handbags, and this goes for most runway shows, is that the show is filmed straight on, so the models are walking right at you for most of the angles. And lately, they have had bags over their shoulder or under their arm, so you only see the end of the bag and you don't see the sides so much, and it's very frustrating when you're watching the show for the handbags because they are so very difficult to see. They're hidden. So if anybody at Coach is watching, change up your whole show for us so we can see those handbags, would you? The colors of the bags were nothing unexpected for fall. We saw blacks and browns, some blues, some burgundies, some tans. I saw one white bag. Although there was one bag, you'll see it later, that did have some bright spring colors. So that was a bit of a surprise. And I also noticed they were all fairly small bags. There was nothing large or oversized. But the pants that the models wore, those were oversized. They were very, very baggy and slouchy. And most of them were held up by a really long belt where the end of the belt hung down to the person's knee. But speaking of small bags, the smallest bag on the runway, I think most models were wearing one of these, was a little necklace pouch. They came in a few different shapes. There was this rectangular one with a curved bottom, which reminds me of this vintage Coach bag. I don't know the name of it, but similar style. And then my favorite, I thought the most interesting of these necklace bags, I'm calling them, was heart-shaped, and the heart was a little sideways. All of these had a little flap with either a turn lock or a snap, of course very reminiscent of Bonnie Cashin. And I saw these in black, browns, and a honey color. They were all leather, and all the browns and honeys looked burnished, and I believe they all had gold hardware or brass. Of the 6 bags that were shown on the runway, 3 are bags we've seen before. One of them is the Empire bag, one of our favorites, right? The Empire blew up in 2024 when it was released. So I'm glad that Coach is responding by continuing that line. I saw the Empires, they were very hard to see because of the way they were held, but I saw them in black, browns, tans, and burgundies. They were all in leather, but they were very distressed. And do you remember the fall 2024 runway where they first introduced those giant Empire bags and those were so distressed? So they're continuing that theme here. I'm going to talk to you more about that toward the end when I get to my thoughts on the whole show, because that's another bit of a point of contention or frustration with these bags and talking about what they show on the runway versus what they release for us to purchase. Some of them also had graffiti all over the bag, which has again become something that we keep seeing on the Coach runway. I've heard from a lot of you that you don't like that. I'm not sure that I'm a fan of this particular graffiti, but we'll talk about that more later too. Besides the Empire, we also saw the Brooklyn on the runway, and again, these were the small ones. They had 3. There was a black one, a brown one, and a tan one, and some of these had graffiti all over them too. And this was perhaps the most difficult bag to see on the runway. Fortunately, I have a few good close-ups. We saw the Times Square tabby again. I was actually surprised to see this one on the runway because I felt like that was going to be a really big bag when they were released last fall. A very popular bag that people were going to go crazy over. I went crazy over them. I bought 2. I love those bags, but I feel like there wasn't the fervor around them that I was expecting. So I'm surprised that they're back on the runway. However, oh my gosh, the ones that were on the runway, spectacular. These were my favorite bags in the whole show. I saw a black one and a white one, and they were so textural. They were absolutely covered with embroidery and beadwork. They reminded me a lot of some of the bags in the Fendi Spring 25 show that had beading and embroidery that also sometimes looked like lace work from afar. Stunning, stunning bags. I would be very surprised if they ever release those. I think those are probably just runway pieces. And even if they did release them, I can't imagine what the prices would be. So those are the 3 bags that we've seen before, plus that necklace. And then there were 2 bags we've not seen before. One was this bucket. These are the ones that we saw in the bright spring colors. There were 3 on the runway. There's this purple, a blue, and a yellow. These appear to be suede. And as the models are carrying them, it looks like it has a short adjustable strap. But if you look from a few other angles, there's much more of the strap hanging back there. So this looks like it's a crossbody bag. And it immediately makes me think of Bonnie Cashin bags, some of the earlier bucket bags and duffels. This is a classic for Coach, so it's not surprising to see it. I think this is a beautiful design. I'll be curious to see what they look like when they come out in person. And then besides the Times Square tabby, the bag that I think stole the show, and they may have had more of these than any other bags on the runway. I don't know what they're called. I'm calling them the zip bag with 2 pockets. I also definitely see some Bonnie Cashin influence here with the curves and of course with those pockets with the little flaps and the turn locks on the front. Gorgeous bags. They're shaped a bit like a bowler, a little bit like the Burrow bowler that was released last year. I saw these in blacks, browns, tans, and of course there's a lot of distressing on these, and some of them were covered in graffiti. I think these were beautiful. Can't wait to see what they look like when they're released. I did notice the handles are sewn to the bag so you don't get a little D-ring, which means the handles are not going to be able to fold down. You won't be able to attach a bag charm right there. Oh, perfect segue. Let's talk about bag charms, because they stole the show a bit too. I think we all know bag charms have been huge lately, using lots of bag charms, having the bag charms kind of overwhelm the bag, and that's certainly the case here. There have also been a lot of what a lot of us would call childish bag charms, and I would definitely say that's also the case here. All of these bag charms were stuffed animals. They were, in my opinion, a bit oversized for a handbag, but that's because we're looking for the bag charms to overpower the little bags right now. The bag charms, like the bags, looked worn and a little funky. I feel like even their faces, it's hard to get a really good look at them, but even their faces, their features were a little bit off, purposefully of course. I found some of the bag charms unidentifiable in terms of what animal it might be, but I did see rabbits. I saw a green T-Rex, that's the one I would get. There was a white elephant, little teddy bears of course, and the one oddball, a carrot. I'm not sure why they did a carrot charm with all the animal bag charms. You'd have to ask the designer there, but I thought that was a fun little surprise. Let me know in the comment section, please, what you think about stuffed animal bag charms. You know, I have a couple of the Coach bears, but those are much more structured and maybe more formal than this. These look very casual. These look like a child's toy that has been used and is on its last leg. And I know a lot of people are into the Labubu bag charms right now. I kind of like those, but I haven't liked them enough to get one. I like the creepy, weird vibes of the Labubus, but I don't know that I want one hanging from my bag. I also really like the look of the Jellycat bag charms that look like little stuffed animals, because they are little stuffed animals. And I thought about getting the Dachshund one, but I always stop myself because I feel like they're a little too childish and I'd feel silly actually wearing it. So I don't know, I'm curious what you guys think. And you may remember in the spring 25 Coach runway show and potentially the fall 24 show, I don't quite remember, they had some toys like little taxi cabs hanging from people's sneakers. Well, in this show, a few of the models had stuffed animals hanging from their sneakers. Does anybody do that in real life? I feel like no, but maybe in New York. The streets of New York are a runway after all. And two of the models wore animal slippers. There was a little bear and a bunny rabbit. Those were pretty cute. Also, as I was watching the show, I saw some big plastic earrings, which Coach has been doing for a few years now, that looked like chicken drumsticks in different colors. And later I got clearer pictures and it turns out they're little screwdrivers. They've done lots of food items, children's food items like lollipops in the past. So it's an interesting switch to hardware. And it does go more with the theme of this show, which looks more industrial. My favorite look though was this one. And just in terms of the outfits, it's the only outfit I'll talk about, because with all that beading and some of the designs, the patterns, it looked very 1920s, Art Deco, flapper. Those were the vibes I was getting from that. I thought that was really pretty. Oh, I will mention this too. Several of the jackets were so strange because the pockets were way up here on the chest. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Have you ever seen that before? That looks super uncomfortable. And I feel like women especially would not want their hands up here. It did remind me a bit of little T-Rex arms, so maybe that's what Coach was going for since we have Rexy. I doubt it, but that was the connection I made. In talking about this Fall Winter 25 runway show, Stuart Vevers, who is the current creative director at Coach, and he's been there since about 2014, he wrote on Instagram, "When I first arrived in this country," he's from England, "in the mid-90s, the nonchalance of New York City at that time informed my worldview." And I'm gonna not read everything, I'm just picking bits of what he said because it was sort of long. He said, "I reference a New York in which everything was what it appeared to be, free of pretense and with a found happenstance sense of beauty. I'm continually inspired by the way today's generation are able to pick up archetypal pieces of the American fashion vocabulary and make them their own. A sense of working with what you've got informed a lot of what's being presented this season." And I thought that was a really interesting take, and I also thought it's a bit contradictory because we know that Coach, one of their pillars, one of their business pillars is sustainability, and they have shown that particularly through the Coachtopia branch of their business, where they use recycled materials to create handbags and small goods. And there's this idea that Stuart Vevers is talking about in this show of it being a bit piecemeal. Use what you have to create your fashion and your style, and that completely goes against the ultimate goal of Coach, which is, since they are a business, to earn money and bring in as much profit as possible. So there's that idea of the consumerism, we're going to release new things all the time like they do for people to buy so we can earn more money, versus the idea of use what you have, use what you find, thrift, wear things forever. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about too, is that distressed look that we keep seeing on the runway. You only get that because they don't release the bags looking distressed. They look brand new and clean and beautiful. Sometimes they burnish them to give them a little bit of an aged look, but they're not distressed. For the runways, they're actually sanded down. There are videos on Coach's Instagram showing people for the Fall 24 runway sanding down Empire bags with sandpaper. But in order to get that look in real life, then you are going to be carrying a bag for years and years and throwing it around and letting it get beat up, which I think most of us don't do with our bags, particularly bags that are a bit expensive, like Coach's, several $100s for a handbag. And many of us have at least a small collection where we rotate our bags, so we don't just have one bag that we're carrying everywhere all the time and throwing around. We are rotating more, we are taking care of our bags, so that distressed look is not something most of us are going to get from our bags unless we purposefully damage them. Now, the distressed looking clothing has been around for a long time too, but you can go into stores and buy clothing that is pre-distressed. You can't do that with these Coach bags because they don't offer it. In terms of the graffiti on the bags in this show, all the graffiti, as far as I saw, was black, like black markers or whatever was used, maybe paint. After the show, they dropped a few vintage bags. There were 4, well, they weren't all vintage, but 4 bags that they had upcrafted and graffitied all over them. There was this swinger bag, and by the way, all 4 of these sold out immediately. There is this swinger bag, this vintage Metro hippie bag, this Patricia's Legacy, and this saddle bag. And these had graffiti on the front and the back and the sides, but again, all black except for that swinger, which looks like it was a black bag with white paint on it. And this is a fairly new thing where they have dropped upcrafted bags right after a runway. It's not the first time. I know they did it in the 25 spring show. That might have been the first time, but I don't remember. But they do have a long-standing tradition of releasing a bag that you saw on the runway, and they call those the buy now or buy it now bags. And this year they have released 2. Now, at the time I'm filming this, the bags still have not become available for purchase. They say coming soon. They've said that since they dropped a few minutes after the runway show yesterday. So I'm filming this the day after the runway show. And for these 2 styles, they released 4 colors of each one. And I will let you know that once they do drop, they are going to sell out immediately. And then after they've sold out, they're probably going to say sold out instead of coming soon. So that's how you know that you have missed it, because chances are almost 100% you are going to miss it. Here's the reason. Each of these bags, so 8 bags in total, right? 2 styles times 4 colors. Each one, they only made 5 bags of. So that's why they're going to sell out immediately. This is so unfair. I remember after the spring 2025 show, they released the Chain Tabby, which by the way has recently dropped, so I will link that bag below. You can now purchase it from Coach and a few other places. That bag was the buy it now bag for that show, and it stayed on the website for a while. It took a long time for them all to sell out. And maybe that is why they're only doing 5 of each of these now. I'm not sure. But I have seen a lot of interest in these bags, so I know they're going to be gone like that. Here's what they look like. My personal favorite is the Empire 21. It is so adorable. It's 21 centimeters across the bottom. This is my Empire 28. And you see how it's a little bit elongated compared to this. The 21 keeps the proportions of the bigger bags like the 40 instead of elongating it a little bit. And I really like that. The colors that this comes in are chestnut, that's this one, natural, turmeric, and biscuit. And the price on these is $450. The second style that they've released is the Empire 34. This one is elongated. This is made to be an east-west bag, and then it has these really long handles that will fit over your shoulder, which we have not seen before in the Empire bags. These are available in the same colors, chestnut, natural, turmeric, and biscuit. And these are priced at $650. Now here's the thing, I told you I would show you how to get one of these styles of bags for $200 less. You can get this style of bag, just in a different leather, a different color, for $450. Not on Coach's website, but in a few other places. I will link it below for you. These are in a crinkled glazed leather, which I love. That look reminds me of this bag. This is the Outlaw Satchel from the Fall Winter 2016 runway. And I just love that leather so much. And this bag's available in maple or in black. We don't have other colorways yet. So same style as the one on the runway, but different leather, different colors. The runway Buy It Now bags are all vegetable tanned leather. So if you want one of those, and if you are lucky enough to be online when 5 of each are available, you can pay an extra $200 to get the vegetable tan leather and get a bag that is 1 of 5. So very, very limited edition. And that may be worth it for you. And of course, I will have all of these bags linked in the description box below, anything that's available. But there you go. That's how to save $200 on one of the new Runway styles. Please let me know in the comment section below what you think of the bags from the fall/winter 2025 Runway. What stands out to you the most, good or bad? What are you most looking forward to seeing on the shelves? Do you wish they would release bags that are more like the Runway bags, that are distressed, or that have the graffiti like we're seeing? And please remember to check all the links in the description box if you're looking for something you saw in this video, and my website for handbags, small goods, and planner pages. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.